Hello, my fellow readers. My name is Greg. This is Ghost Readers in the Sky. It is Tuesday, Tag Tuesday. It's also the month of March, where a bunch of us are hosting an event called March on the Rails. And so this is a March on the Rails tag for this Tuesday. Alan from Alan's Reads put this tag together. March on the Rails is an event where we just read about trains or railroads the month of March. If you read anything at all, a short story, a poem, children's book, then you've participated. As always, links to the information about the event, to the co-hosts, and to various playlists about the event are in the description below. All right, here's the tag. There are 8 prompts. These are names of books that prominently feature trains. And then there's a suggested prompt to go along with it. So we're just matching up books. The books that are chosen do not need to be train or railway books. Although Alan says you get bonus points if you do that. Prompt number 1 is The Great Railway Bazaar. So that's the book that we're reading as our group read, written by Paul Theroux. Prompt is a book featuring an epic journey. I picked The Oregon Trail by Francis Parkman. This is a nonfiction book that was written in journalistic style in the 1840s. Francis Parkman was from back east. He came out and got a covered wagon and traveled parts of the Oregon Trail and wrote about it. A very famous book, and a book that helped a lot of people really get Oregon fever. I read this as a buddy read last year with Gavin from Genre Books. Prompt 2, Brief Encounter, Still Life. A brief or short book you could read while waiting for a train. Well, I don't know if you could get this in while you're waiting for a train. It would depend on the train timetables. But my favorite novella is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. It takes, depending on the speed you read, between 2 and 3 hours to read that. So you might not be able to finish it while you're waiting, but you certainly could read the rest of it on the train. Prompt number 3, Bradshaw's Guide. A guidebook to a favorite place or thing. I'm going to pick Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. There are a number of different essays in that book, but the longest piece in Desert Solitaire, and the one that I found had the most impact on me, and I'm not alone in that feeling, is his trip down the Colorado River through Glen Canyon just before they built the Glen Canyon Dam and flooded all of that area. It's a travel guide to a place you can't go anymore. Desert Solitaire. Number 4, Breakheart Pass. A romance novel or a Western, and bonus points for a romantic Western. Yeah, I'm going to look back to Owen Wister and the Virginian, because there's definitely a love story at the core of the Virginian, and it's definitely a Western, usually considered the very first Western that contains so many of the tropes that we see in traditional Westerns in that genre today. Prompt number 5, Thomas the Tank Engine, a beloved children's book. I am choosing Sylvester and the Magic Pebble by William Steig. I've been thinking about my mom quite a bit lately. She passed away decades ago. But she was a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and in her last decade or so in the classroom, she taught the special reading class. So students who were behind in grade level and who needed some extra boosting to improve their reading, that's what my mom taught. And besides just having the students read, she would read aloud to them fairly often. And one of her favorites was Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. And I know I heard her read that so many times. And it has magic and supernatural stuff. And it's a really sweet book. And for me particularly, it makes me think of my mom and all of those good parts about her that I loved and still love so much. Sylvester and the Magic Pebble by William Steig. That gets us to number 6. Yep. The Signalman, a ghost story or horror novel. I'm going to pick one that I just read as a buddy read with Alan and Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic. Frankenstein. It was a reread for all three of us. I love that book. And I love the structure of it. I love the story. I love the voice of the monster, the creature. It is just an amazing book. I don't know how many. I think I've read it 3 or 4. I think 3 times. And I'm sure I'll get around to it again. Prompt number 7. Strangers on a Train. A new book that you hope to read this year. Doesn't have to be published this year. Well, I'm going to pick a new to me book that I am planning to read during March on the Rails. It's a book called The Road, and it's written by Jack London. This is about his time as a hobo and in the American West. I think it's centered mostly in the state of Utah. It's a memoir about Jack London's young days. I've never read it, and I'm really looking forward to reading that this year. So it's not a new book by any means published. And prompt number 8, The Mystery of the Blue Train, a book with a color in the title or on the cover. Well, I picked quite a few Westerns already, and I'm going to pick another one. You know what it's going to be? Probably. If you're not sure and I say it's a book by Zane Grey, now do you know what it is? Riders of the Purple Sage. The Zane Grey book that so many people start with. It is often considered his best work, and it is a fantastic place to start with Zane Grey if he's a new author to you. It's a book that I just have always enjoyed, and I love the way he writes about horses in particular. And there's some love story there. This would actually fit for the romance Western as well. But I picked it for the purple category, the color. So that about wraps things up for this week, for this Tag Tuesday, for this March on the Rails tag. I will be back with a number of videos throughout the month of March. And until next time, my name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky. Yippee-yi-yi.